Speaker, when you came into the House and took the chair, you did make the point that you wanted a higher level of decorum in the debate. I've been trying my best at short range to listen to the members' contribution with a great deal of interest. There has been, for instance, from Mr Darren Hughes, continuous barracking that has made it near impossible to hear the member's speech. I think the House owes the dignity to the member concerned to actually be able to hear the rest of her speech.
No, I'm not going to take any more points for it, honestly. Can I say to the member, I could hear the member speaking, and yes, I did say about this, the decorum of the House. The member you referred to wasn't barracking, was asking a line of disjointed but questions. Barracking is something different, and had he have been engaged in simply barracking, I would have stopped him, but he did not. Whether the member speaking thought they were good questions or not is another matter. But that's the point. I just want to say the point's been well made. Did the member have another?
I'm not wishing to challenge your ruling, but I just ask you to consider this point, that as I heard it, the member opposite was starting to traverse another bill which will be coming before the Parliament quite soon, and I think when we are debating the budget, that is the issue that should be before the House.
Well, I want to say to the member, whenever a person stands up and says, I'm not going to challenge a ruling, the very fact is that they are doing exactly that. And I had that thought, and when you concluded your comments, I thought, QED, my case is proved beyond all doubt. You were challenging my ruling. And I want to say to the member that if a member is speaking about a bill and there are other issues which are related, I think it's fair enough for them to pull it in, as long as it is not the substance of their speech. The member made a few references to it. It is not entirely... Well, the member can get picky about it, but I'm not going to be that picky about it. And I want to say to members, and if the member, Mr Mallow, wants to get up, I would say to him that nearly every contribution he made on the committee stage was outside of the strict standing orders of the committee stage. He made no reference at all to the actual substance, nuts and bolts of the bill. Instead, I will. And we had great dissertations about 1984 and Roger Douglas, I heard, with much interest and a personal reflection. But I want to say, let's not get too prissy about this. We've had what I think is a very good debate. People have had quite wide-ranging. We've had rewrites of history. We've traversed economies around the world. We've had various reviews from 1984, and it's all been pretty good stuff. Let the member continue with the speech. I call Rahui Kantne.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Dr Keating spoke about GST of healthy food by saying, these benefits include helping all New Zealanders improve their diet, particularly families on lower incomes which are likely to be harder hit by any increase in GST. Supporting Ms Cartone's bill would be a great move towards increased fairness. It would also be a great start towards lowering the high rate of avoidable disease, hospital admissions and premature deaths that plague lower income families. Mr Speaker, this is part of the long-term economic outlook that we believe any responsible government must plan for. We advocate for taking GST off food on the grounds that GST hits low-income people disproportionately. Removing GST from healthy foods may be one way of encouraging healthier living, as well as support the many families in New Zealand who are currently struggling just to provide the basics. I know that there has been some concerns raised about the cost of such a proposal, but I think those who are sceptical need to take a closer look at the figures before they judge. Analysis of the Statistics New Zealand Household Economic Survey 2008 estimate that annual GST on all fruits and vegetables sold to New Zealand households was just $167 million. If we were to take GST off all dairy products, fresh fruit and veggies, the total is $302 million. Either way, it's not insurmountable. If members are still in any doubt about the value of taking GST off food, I think they would benefit from a close reading of a recent article by Gordon Campbell. He debunked some of the prevalent myths that have built up, reassuring cynics that if compliance is the issue, we should look to Australia, which operates their food exemptions so smoothly and cost-effectively that compliance is no longer an issue. He also identified the fact that the Australian Tax Office has established a computerised model that makes GST food and beverage compliance extremely easy to manage. It would be great if the GST advisory panel that Mr Dunn has announced today could be asked to look at this model and provide us with some advice about how the model could work in our setting. The other finding that the Campbell article reported on was the results of a major New Zealand research study released in March. This research proved that if supermarket customers were given a 12.5% price discount, an almost dollar for dollar higher investment in healthy food will result, and will be still observable 6 months later. Cutting GST on food, in other words, will result in lasting health benefits. To quote Mr Campbell, the question then is, why not do it? But why not do something so easy, so readily manageable by business, so justifiable on grounds of social justice, and so likely to deliver practical health benefits to the community? Mr Speaker, I can't help but be thrilled about the strength of support that is building for the move to take GST off food, including, of course, the enthusiasm recently expressed by the Labour Party. Thank you.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.